Hi students, welcome back to another module of Python programming language. So we are discussing the functions in Python programming. So today we are going to discuss what are the types of argument we are having in Python programming language. Like in case of C programming language, we have the 4 different functions types based on the types of argument. How the function will get the argument based on the argument type, we have 4 different functions, like the function having argument and with return type, the function having no argument and with return type, the function having no argument, no return type, and the function having no argument with return type. So these are the 4 different functions which is categorized by the types of argument that the function actually takes. But in case of Python programming also, we have 4 different types of function based on the types of argument. So before going to the type of function based on the argument, let's have a discussion on what is the local variable and what is global variable. What is the scope of local variable and what is the scope of global variable. The which variable will called as a local variable and which variable will called as a global variable. So let's have a discussion on the scope of local and global variable. So if we will go to decide what is the scope of a local variable and a global variable. So we will have actually what type of variable? One is local variable and another is our global variable. So in case of local variable, the scope is limiting to the function in which function the variable has been declared. So here this is the scope will be limiting inside the function in which the variable has been declared. That means if there is different functions, there is maybe 5 to 4 functions. So why we need actually function? When we have a large project and we want to divide those projects. So when we are dividing the task into different, the whole task into different small tasks, those small tasks is called as a function. So if we have 5 different functions and we are declaring some variable within the function. Suppose take the example, if I have the function 1, here is the function 1 and this is the body of function 1, then if there is a variable a, b and c, that means we are declaring these variable inside the function 1. So the scope of variable a, b, c are limiting inside the function body in which they are declared. So here a, b, c are declared in the function 1. So the scope is limiting inside this function 1. We cannot use this a, b, c in another function. So this is what actually local variable. But in case of global variable, that means we can use those variable entire the program. Each and every function can access the global variable, but in case of local variable, the function in which the variable is declared, that function is able to access that local variable. But the global variable is different. Each and every function and wherever you want, you can place the or you can use the global variable. So let's take an example, take a program and let's see what is the difference between the local variable and global variable. So for the function writing, we have to start with the keyword that is defined, and here is my function that is display. So this is the function. We have to put a colon here and we have to follow the indentation. So here I am just writing, suppose print, suppose whatever a, okay. So a is what? A is nothing. Now we have not defined a. Suppose here I am writing a equals to 20. That means here I am declaring a variable a and initializing 20 with a. So this is the local variable to the display function, because I am just declaring and initializing the variable inside the display function. So this is the local variable and here we have to print the value of a. Now we have to call the function. So we have to call the display function. So here I am writing display. So, if I will run this program, so program will execute from starting from here, display function will be called, then the program will jump to execution, will jump to here. Here A is what? A, the memory for A will be created and it will be initialized with 20. Now, when I was instructed that print A, that means I want to print the value of A. So, here 20 will get printed. Okay. So, this is what? This is the local variable. If I want to print the value of A here, print A, then here the error will come because A is not declared. I want to print the value of A which has been not declared in this function. Okay. Suppose for the better understanding, I am just saying that this is the main function where we are calling the display function. So, A is declared inside the display function, that means A is the local variable to the display function. But in the main function, I want to print the value of A which has been not declared in the main function. So, that is why the error will come. Okay. So, what is the concept of global variable? How we can say the variable as a global variable? For that, I can declare a variable, suppose B equals to 40. So, at the top of the program, where we have defined the function, that display function, above that we have declared a variable, that is B, holding the value 40. So, now B is not declared inside any function, not in the display function, not in the main function. B is declared above the program. So, that is meant by B is the global variable. So, if we have to remember the structure of Python programming, in the very beginning, very first line, if we have some global variable, then we have to declare those global variable at the beginning of the program, at the top of the program. Then after declaring the global variable, then we will go for defining the user defined functions. Once my user defined functions will be done, then I will go for the main function where we can use the global variable, where you can call the function definition. So, this is what actually the concept of global and local variable. So, take another example. Suppose A equals to 20. Here I am just defining the display function. Okay. Next, we have to follow the indentation. Print global value equals to comma, what is that? The global variable is A. Next, we have to call the display function. So, here I can call the display function. Okay. So, by executing this, the output will be global value, that is what? A. And what is the value of A? A is 20. Okay. So, if I am writing here, suppose B equals to 25 and I can print local value, what? Local value is B. Okay. So, while I am second time when I will call the display function, then the output will be global value, that is A. So, here 20 will get printed, then local value. So, local value is what? Local value is the value of B, and what is the value of B? The value of B is 25. So, 25 will get printed here. Okay. So, here in the main function, if I write here print global value equals to, global value is it what? A. So, here I want to print the value of A. So, here also the global value will be what? The value of A, that is 20. The situation arises when the global and local variable having the same name. Suppose here I am writing A equals to 20. Suppose in the display function I am writing A equals to 30. Okay. Then B equals to 20 and C equals to A plus B, and I want to print the value of C. Sum equals to suppose C. Okay. So, what will be the result? Here, while I will call the display function, I will go to here. Now, A equals to what? 30. Here the global variable is what? A equals to 20. So, we are having two variables. One global variable A and another local variable A. So we are having local and global variable as a same name. So when we will have the local and global variable as same name, then first preference will goes to the local variable. So here we have to remember the first preference should goes to the local variable. So if the first preference will goes to the local variable, so C will be what? C will be A plus B. So here A is what? Which A? Local or global? Obvious it is local, because if we will have the same name for global and local variable, then first preference will goes to the local variable. Okay. So here A will be what? 30, because the local variable A is what? 30. 30 plus B is what? 20. So now C is what? 50. So here C will be 50. If this line is not there, if I have not mentioned any A there, that means we are having one A which is a global variable. So here C equals to A plus B. Here A is what? There is no local variable as A. So here this will be considered as a global variable, and the value is what? 20, and B value is also 20. So C is what? 40. So here 50 will not be printed, here 40 will get printed. So this is the concept of local and global variable. You have to remember, whenever we are talking about a global variable, the global variable should be declared and initialized at the top of the program before the function definition. And the local variable, as usual, we can declare the local variable inside the function, and the scope of the local variable is limiting into that function only. But in case of global variable, we can use the global variable wherever we want to use it. Okay. And next thing we have to remember, if we have the same name for the local and global variable, then the first preference will goes to the local variable only. So this is what actually the scope of local and global variable. Let's see what are the type of function based on the arguments. So we have 4 different types of function based on the arguments. So these functions are, the first one is required argument, the second one is keyword argument, the third one is default argument, and the fourth one is variable length argument. Okay. So let's see what is the argument, what is for actual argument and what is formal argument. Suppose I am writing here def sum A comma B. That means I want to add 2 numbers. Okay. So here I can write C equals to A plus B, and I can print the value of C. Okay. So for that calling function, suppose I am writing here sum 20 comma 30. So this is actually done. I am passing the value 20 and 30 by calling the sum function, and here I am just receiving the 20 with A and 30 with B. Now I want to add those 2 values, then I am here adding 2 values and putting the value into C, and last I want to print the value of sum. Okay. So what is the argument? When I am calling the sum function, I am passing 2 values here. So this is called as the actual argument. If I will not pass these values, then here the program or the function sum will expect 2 values to receive. But here I am just passing 2 values. So these are the actual argument. Depending on these arguments, A and B will get assigned. So these are the actual argument. If it is the actual argument, then what about the A and B? So in A and B, these are the formal arguments. Okay. So depending on the actual argument, we have 4 types of function. The first one is required argument, second one is keyword argument, third one is default argument, and fourth one is variable length argument. So let's take some example and discuss what are these 4 different functions. So take some examples. Suppose I want to print my name and my age. So here I can declare a function definition, suppose display, and here I am taking the variable as name and is. Okay, so we have to follow the indentation, and here I want to print name, then I will print is. Okay, so next we have to call this function display, and here we have to put the arguments, the actual arguments. Suppose the name is ABC and the age is 28. Okay, so here in case of required argument, the number of arguments should be same in the function call and the function definition. We have to follow these two rules. In case of required argument, the number of arguments should be same in function call and function definition. Okay, and the second one is the value, the formal arguments will get assigned by the with the values based on position. So we have to remember these two rules. The number of arguments should be same in function call and function definition. So this is what the function call, and this is the function definition. If I will put 4 arguments there, that means 4 arguments should be here. Whatever the number of actual arguments should be matched with the number of arguments that we are using in the function definition. That means the number of actual arguments should match with the number of formal arguments. This is the first thing. Second thing says the formal arguments will get assigned with values based on the position. That means if I am passing here ABC 28, that means here what I am writing, name and age. So ABC will goes to name and 28 will goes to age. So when I will call this function, the output will be here, the name will be ABC and the age will be 28. This is what actually the required argument. Okay. If I will pass, suppose second, I will pass display 28 comma XYZ. Okay. So for the second time, what I am doing, I am just sending an integer first and string in the second. So the first value will get assigned with name. So here it will show me as 28, and the second value, that is XYZ, that will assign with age, and it will be show me as X, Y and Z. So this is the demerit of required arguments. Why? Because it is not necessary that we are just defining the function inside our program. The function may residing anywhere else. When we are working with different pages, that means the function may be present in my current page or the function may present anywhere else. So how I can detect that what is the position of the arguments, what is the sequence of the arguments. So how I can know that? So there we have to use the keyword arguments. That means in the required argument, if I will put 28 here, then the name will assigned with 28. And when I will put XYZ here, that means a name here, age will get assigned with XYZ. Suppose I want to here, I want to print, suppose I am writing here age equals to age plus 5. Okay. So what I am passing? 28. So name will be what? 28, and XYZ will assigned with what? Age. So here I just want to add 5 with the string. So that is impossible. So error will come. So how we could know what is the sequence of arguments? That is impossible. So that's why we are using the keyword arguments. That means if I will if I will call here as display name equals to XYZ and age equals to 18 or 28, whatever it may be. Okay. So when we will call this display function, then how the mapping will be done? Name equals to XYZ. In the formal argument, the name, where the name is mentioned, name will get assigned with XYZ. So here it will XYZ and the age will be 28. Okay. So when I will go to print the name, here it will print as XYZ and the age will be 28. Okay. So when I will go for display, suppose I am just changing the order, age equals to 30 and name equals to ABC. So when I will call these types of like interchanging the sequence, then here when I will call this function, age will be searched, where the name age will find, then we will assign 30 to age. So 30 will get assigned here and ABC will assign to the actual argument that is named as name. So here is the name. So here it will assign as ABC. Now print name. So here ABC will be printed and 30 will be get printed here. Okay. So this is what actually keyword argument. We are providing the arguments by the help of their name, the variable name, the actual argument name. That's why it is called as keyword argument. So next comes to the default argument. What is default argument? Suppose here I am passing the argument as only A, B, C. So here it will expect two value, name and one value for name and another value for age. But I am passing here is what? ABC. Suppose I am passing here as 28, ABC and 28. Then it is okay. Name will get printed as ABC and age will get printed as 28. Okay. Suppose I don't know what is the age of a person. So there the age, suppose some criteria may be like the age should be 18. So I can assign a default value to the age. So I can write here as age equals to 18. So when I will put 28 here, that means the default value will get replaced with 28 and the output will be ABC and 28. But if I will call the function like display XYZ and comma nothing. Okay. So I am passing one argument here XYZ. So XYZ will get assigned with name and the what is the default value of age, that is 18. So here XYZ will get printed and I am not passing the second argument, that means the default value will get printed. So the default value for age is what? The default value is 18. So 18 will get printed. So this is what actually the default value. So the fourth one is left, that is the variable length argument. So what is actually the variable length argument? Suppose my user don't know how many numbers he wants to add. He may want to add 2 numbers, he may want 3 numbers, he may want 4 numbers, he may want n numbers to be added and to show the result. So how that can be possible? We don't know how many actual arguments are there and how many formal arguments there. That means a function should be capable of taking arbitrary arguments. We don't know. There may be 2 numbers, there may be n number of input. So that can be possible by the help of variable length argument. So let's take the example. Suppose I want to add some numbers. We don't know actually how many numbers are there. Okay. So let's define the function, define sum, and we don't know how many numbers are there. But there must be one number, because we want to add some numbers, there actually must 2 numbers. So we can take only one variable. So that variable should be preceded with the star symbol. That means we are taking a number of values and we want to add them. So suppose that is what? That is A. Okay. So this means is what? Actually this is the collection of values which we are going to pass as the actual argument. So that is what actually collection of values means what? That is tuple. So here I am taking a tuple A and that should be preceded with a star symbol. Okay. So here the sum value, suppose C equals to initially what? C equals to 0 And for the tuple, how to extract the value? By using the for loop. So here I can write for I in what? What is the tuple name? That is A. So for I in A, C equals to C plus I. Then print sum equals to what? C. Okay. So in the main function we have to call the sum. So when I will go for call the sum by passing 1, 2, 3. So what will happen? 1, 2, 3 will assign with the variable A, and this is what actually the collection of values, and this is treated as a tuple. So A will be 1, 2, 3. Okay. So initially C is what? C equals to 0. So for I in A, that means starting from the first index, it will goes to the last index of a tuple. So initially I will be 1. So C equals to 0 plus 1, that is what? 1. Next I will be 2, then 1 plus 2, so that will be 3. Then I will be 3, 3 plus 3, so that will be 6. So C is what? C is 6. So the answer sum equals to what? 6. Suppose I am passing the value sum is equals to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So here I don't know actually how many numbers of actual argument I am passing. This is actually arbitrary number of variables or values. So here A will be 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. And initially C value is what? C equals to 0. So for I in A, C equals to C plus I. So what is the value of I now? 10. So 0 plus 10, that is 10. Now 20 will get added, that is 30. Now 30 will get added, that will be 60. Now 40 will get added, that will be 100. Now 50 will get added. So what is the value of C now? 150. So this is how we can pass arbitrary number of values to the function as actual argument, and this is how we can accept the arbitrary number of values as formal argument. The variable should be preceded with the star symbol. That means whatever the variable we are using, this is capable of taking multiple values, that is as a form of tuple. So this is what is the types of function we are having in Python programming language. Keep practicing all these things. Have a great time. Thank you.